Chapter 11, Encountering the Light Hero. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation. Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. You have chosen the blood trial. It will begin in 3 days. So-won looked on in a daze. She had been just about to press the reject button on the panel when a small, clawed finger had shot out and pressed accept. Su-yuan, she roared. She gritted her teeth trying to control her anger. Her hero was too infuriating. Su-yuan, still in So-won's arms, raised his head and looked at her as though he felt that his actions didn't warrant such a drastic reaction. Wan, what's wrong? You want to make a wish? Shi Linglong didn't know that Su-yuan's name meant wish. She was confused why her friend was screaming for a wish. So-won calmed down after hearing her friend's voice. She didn't want to display her inadequacy in front of her friends. If they found out she couldn't even control her own hero, they might just laugh at her. So-won suppressed her anger. Yes, Linglong. I want to make a wish for all of us to do well and get good rankings in this year's freshman competition. So-won didn't bother to elaborate. She only had 3 days until the blood trial. She needed to head back to her own territory and prepare for it. So-won left while Shi Linglong bid her farewell with a confused smile. After leaving her friend behind, So-won looked at the hero in her arms. Why did you choose that? So-won had no patience. She had thought that as long as they worked together, she could just cooperate, but seeing him trick her again, she was furious. The initial talent and the blood train were two entirely different things. Even though Su-yuan had chosen without consulting with her for the initial talent, she didn't mind much because it was absolute. But the blood trial, she might die in the blood trial. Su-yuan looked at So-won innocently. The blood trial has good rewards. I am doing this for you. It will help you level up sooner. So-won was furious. You have done enough. Trying not to trick me would be good for a start. She gritted her teeth. She was interrupted by someone. A woman with long, wavy hair looked at So-won in surprise. On her side, a golden-haired man in golden armor, like a golden saint, held a long spear and stared at So-won suspiciously. Are you So-won? Asked the woman. What are you doing with a lizard and weak skeleton soldiers? Skeleton soldiers were known to be weak in combat. Su-yuan, in So-won's arms, looked very harmless. No matter how the woman looked at it, So-won's rapid advancement in the Overlord plane seemed a little off. So-won realized that the woman was an influential and powerful person from Stars Academy. Her name was Li Na. As the heir to the Li family, Li Na had caused a huge commotion on the day of her enrollment. She was popular among men and women. But when So-won's information was posted in the school forum, her fame took second place. So-won's identity and background were mysterious, and her origin seemed a juicier topic of discussion than the Li family. In terms of talent, the specific information of So-won's bloodline was unknown, but an estimate placed her in the S-class. With So-won's arrival, Li Na took second place. That thought aggrieved and aggravated Li Na. She had clenched her fists in anger, wanting to take down So-won once and for all. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, Li Na had finally found an opportunity. In terms of army type, her troops were all holy knights, and So-won only had skeleton soldiers which were only good as cannon fodders. In terms of heroes, her initial hero was the S-class light hero, Holy Spear Knight, and So-won's hero seemed to be the dark little thing in her arms. Li Na compared their strengths. She felt like she had already won. So-won and Li Na disliked each other, but they weren't going to physically fight until a person's action changed everything. Li Na's Holy Spear Knight stared at Su-yuan. He raised his spear. Golden light burst everywhere. Fallen dark creature, prepare to be purified. The Holy Spear Knight attacked. Not only So-won but also Li Na was shocked by this. Li Na was jealous of So-won, but she didn't want to kill her. The hero went with the attack without waiting for his lord's orders. What a terrifying aura. The skeleton soldiers definitely weren't a match at all. So-won looked at Su-yuan in her arms. She did not intend for him to fight. Su-yuan, run. So-won's first thought was to flee. As long as there were hills and forests, there was still some hope that they could hide and get away. So-won swore she would improve in the future and teach Li Na a lesson for this. So-won knew that Su-yuan was no fighter, but when it came to fleeing, he was the fastest of all. The moment she told him to run, Su-yuan spread his wings, rose from her arms and flew away. So-won was stunned. She almost got hit by the golden spear. After narrowly avoiding the attack, Suwon heard Li Na trying to stop her Holy Spear Knight. Suwon didn't dare remain there. She rushed in the direction where Su Yuan had fled. After Suwon left, Li Na glared at the Holy Spear Knight in disapproval. Why did you attack? Li Na was very displeased. Her grudge with Suwon was personal, but it wasn't as serious as to be settled with a fight. The Holy Spear Knight had acted out of his own accord. He was silent. He stood there, with his back straight. He slowly said, "In the hero plane, the war between the light and darkness has gone on for 1,000 years. It is our destiny to destroy all dark creatures." The Holy Spear Knight explained, "This time, too, countless dark heroes came to the lower realm, so we followed them here. In this era, there are bound to be many heroes of light and darkness in this realm." Li Na was a little dejected. She had thought she was extremely talented, so she had managed to get a light hero. It seemed that there were countless light and dark heroes appearing in this realm. Then what happened in the era of Sunji? Why did so many dark heroes descend to the lower realm that time? Li Na asked. The Holy Spear Knight's face turned solemn as though he was afraid of something. The Holy Spear Knight said in a trembling voice, "There is an extremely terrifying dark hero in the lower realm right now." Chapter 12, New Ability, Dark Fusion. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. In her territory, Suwon was studying all different kinds of buildings and preparing resources. Suwon didn't notice that Su Yuan wasn't sleeping in a corner like he usually did. Su Yuan was changing his appearance. Level 5 had given him wings. At level 10, his body changed again. In Shi Linglong's territory, he had suppressed the change, but he could no longer hold it back. A wispy blue flame emerged at the tip of Su Yuan's tail. "Why do I feel like I'm a little fire dragon?" Su Yuan wagged his tail and the blue flames flickered. Name, Su Yuan. Demonic Dragon's true name, Lupus Olga race, Dark Demon Dragon. Level 5 Strength, 460 Spirit, 458 Agility, 457 Constitution, 460 Abilities. Night Shift. LVL1 Dragon God Slumber. LVL1 Lord of Darkness. Demonic Dragon's Blessing. Dark Fusion. Fuse 2 dark creatures of the same race into one creature for 10 minutes. The fused creature will have the combined attributes of the two creatures. Su Yuan's eyes lit up when he saw the new ability he had gained from the fire on her tail. This is a good skill. Fusing with this ability would allow Su Yuan to make greater use of dark creatures and make them more powerful. As long as he had powerful subordinates, he wouldn't have to do many cumbersome things, and he could sleep and level up in peace. Congratulations to the hero for reaching level 10. You have received 1 skill enhancement point. You can enhance any skill you have. Su Yuan studied it for a while and realized that skill enhancement points could be obtained for every 10 levels he advanced. Which ability should I enhance? Su Yuan looked at his skills. The most important thing was to level up, so he chose to enhance Night Shift ability. Now, his Night Shift was on level 2. It allowed him to increase experience by 50% more. I'm leveling up even faster now. Just when he was feeling satisfied, Suwon discovered his abnormality. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. In the dark cave, the blue flame at the tip of his tail was very noticeable. She noticed it at once. It wasn't like his wings, which could be hidden anyway. "Oh!" Suwon exclaimed. She knelt in front of him and looked at him. "Su Yuan, why do you look less and less like a lizard now?" Suwon could finally see the way his body had changed. There were the wings, and now the tail with the blue flames. No matter how she looked at him, he was no longer a lizard. Instead, he looked more and more like a dragon. However, something was missing. Horns, Suwon thought. Su Yuan just yawned and closed his eyes. "Huh? I don't know," he said sheepishly. From the look on his face, Suwon knew she wouldn't get any answers from him. She realized that her hero might not be as simple as she had thought. "With my skills and talent, it is impossible for my hero to be a useless piece of trash, after all," thought Suwon. Su Yuan is lazy, but he might not be entirely useless. Suwon wondered how she could get Su Yuan to be more active. After thinking for a while, she decided to take Su Yuan with her to a barbarian stronghold once. Again, while completing the freshman trial and earning points, she could get Su Yuan to be more active and livelier. She would pretend to be of no match and would lead the barbarian leader to Su Yuan. When the barbarian leader attacked, Su Yuan would have no choice but to attack back. Just like the Holy Spear Knight he met today, Suan recalled the Holy Spear Knight's attack. Su Yuan had revealed his wings that time. She thought that he needed a bit of pressure to reveal his strengths. If she urged him a few more times, maybe he would definitely outgrow his laziness. I am going out to find out more about this place. You stay here, said Suan with a smile. If it was anyone from the academy, they would have fallen in love with that smile. But to Su Yuan, that smile meant trouble. What scheme is this woman brewing? Su Yuan looked at her in confusion. Suan left the cave to find a barbarian stronghold to implement her plan. After Suan left, Su Yuan became active. He looked at the skeleton warriors. Some had fallen, but as long as the territory core was intact, they could be revived with enough resources. Su Yuan wanted to try his new ability, Darkness Fusion. The blue flames at his tail grew brighter and enveloped two skeleton soldiers. The two soldiers fused together to form one majestic skeleton soldier. This skeleton soldier had the attributes of two skeleton soldiers combined. Not bad. It's a pity I only have skeleton soldiers here. He wished to fuse a skeleton soldier with another species of creature to see what the outcome would be, but all he had now were these useless skeleton soldiers, so he could not experiment as he pleased. Fuse. Su Yuan fused the skeletons on a whim. He wanted to know if he could fuse the skeletons that he had already fused before. He tried to fuse two already fused skeletons. The current skill level is not high enough to perform a second fusion. That meant that as long as he enhanced his skill, he could continue fusing them. He might even be able to fuse all 100 skeletons into one. As he thought that, he fused the remaining skeletons. The 100 skeletons had fused into 50 now. It just so happened that Suan returned at that time to the cave. Su Yuan quickly lay down on the floor and pretended to be asleep. When she saw that there were only 50 skeletons instead of 100, she was stunned. On the resource panel, the number of skeleton soldiers was still 100. She was confused. Su Yuan, where did my skeleton soldiers go? She asked. Chapter 13, I asked you to fight, but you went to sleep? Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation I don't know. Su Yuan raised his head, as if he had just woken up. For a moment, Suan couldn't tell whether he was playing with her. Where did they go? She wondered. Suan looked at her resource panel. It clearly showed that there were still 100 skeletons. How is it that half of them have disappeared? Could it be an enemy sneak attack? However, that wasn't right. If an enemy had attacked, the number of skeletons would be reduced. Suan was anxious. She didn't know what was going on. She was scared that her troops would disappear in the future without reason. She would be in trouble. Only the skeletons and Su Yuan were at the base. Suan couldn't communicate with the skeletons because they couldn't speak any language. The only person who might know the truth was Su Yuan, but he looked like he was in too deep a sleep to know anything about it. What a shame. Suan felt helpless. In such a large territory, she had no one she could rely on. Suan was exhausted. She realized that the attributes of the remaining skeletons were different. They seemed to be a lot stronger than before. They even looked taller than before. Fused low-level skeleton soldiers' strength, 20 spirit, 12 agility, 16 constitution, 24. Suan sucked in a breath of cold air. The skeleton soldiers in front of her had attributes twice their previous points. Just like the strong skeletons from before. Suan remembered when they had fought the barbarian stronghold, the skeletons had changed. Their bones had turned pitch black, and they had suddenly become stronger. Although the change wasn't as drastic as before, their attributes had increased. The skeleton soldiers are this magical, thought Suan. Maybe they had hidden powers that no one before had thought to check. Suan began to doubt the things she had learnt from the academy. Skeleton soldiers were not very strong, but they required very few resources to create. They could be created in a short time. Most times, they were just used as cannon fodders to distract or stall the enemies. As for the strange situation in front of her, she had never heard of something like this. I don't care anymore. Su Yuan, let's go. I will help you level up. Suan narrowed her eyes and smiled. Anyone who could see her could tell that she was scheming. Su Yuan spread his wings and flew to Suan's shoulder. Suan led the skeletons to the nearby barbarian stronghold. The skeleton soldiers were very combative. When they saw the enemy, They rushed forward recklessly. It was chaos. Suwon tried to teach Su Yuan some battle tactics and urged him to fight. Su Yuan, go, spread your wings and fly there. Use your tail to slap the barbarian leader's face. All Suwon talked about was flying, slapping, clawing and spitting fire. Su Yuan was speechless. However, to save her some face, he spread his wings and flew over. Su Yuan, well done, you've already taken the first step to get rid of your laziness. Next, Anu. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Su Yuan flew past the barbarian leader to a corner, ignoring all barbarians along the way. There were rugs in that corner. These were made from furs of the wild beasts that the barbarians had hunted. Su Yuan pounced on the soft rugs. He smiled in satisfaction. Suwon was baffled. Su Yuan, she cried. What are you doing? Come here and fight. Suwon was so angry that she roared. Su Yuan was useless. She had thought that he had finally given up on his laziness. But the moment he saw the rugs and the blankets, he went to sleep again. This bastard, she shouted. One day, I will definitely take that laziness out of you, she swore in her heart. Suwon realized that things hadn't gone to plan and now this was going to turn bad. Skeleton soldiers were known to have low combat capabilities. Even though the attributes of the skeleton soldiers were twice than that of the normal skeleton soldiers, it was still a little difficult for them to fight against the barbarians. Su Yuan's night shift skill had reached level 2. He didn't want to waste time fighting barbarians when he could be sleeping and gaining experience and leveling up. Hence, Su Yuan secretly activated the demonic dragon's blessing. The bones of the fused skeletons turned black, and a dark mist lingered around them. It's happening again. The skeletons were changing again. Suwon didn't know what kind of secrets the skeleton soldiers were hiding. Su Yuan used the demonic dragon's blessing on the skeleton soldiers. Their attributes changed. Fused low-level skeleton soldiers' strength, 60 spirit, 36 agility, 48 constitution, 72. Su Yuan was a little surprised. When he fused the skeleton soldiers, their attributes doubled. Now when he used the demonic dragon's blessing, the attributes tripled further. The skeleton soldiers were 6 times stronger now. The fused skeleton soldiers killed every barbarian in the stronghold. No one could withstand them. The barbarians fell to the ground like dead flies. Suwon was stunned. With these skeletons, it wasn't impossible to survive the blood trial. Suwon had felt hopeless about the blood trial before. She had been very stressed about it. But now she had a faint glimmer of hope. In a short time, the skeleton soldiers wiped out the entire barbarian stronghold and Suwon's points rapidly increased. She had been delayed because she had gone to save Xiling Long. Now, her points had returned to her former glory. She should be in the first place now. The road is bumpy, but the future is bright. Suwon's mood brightened. However, the good time did not last long. The dark fusion only lasted for 10 minutes. Now that the time was up, the fused skeleton soldiers split into 2. At the same time, the demonic dragon's blessing which was cast on the fused skeleton disappeared. This meant that the skeleton soldiers on the scene returned to their original attributes. When Suwon saw this, she was perplexed. She had been in a good mood but now, she saw the problem. The skeleton soldiers had special abilities, but they were unstable. She did not know how to transform the skeleton soldiers to make them strong. If their abilities ran out before the blood trial finished, she would be in huge trouble. Her future was still dark. Chapter 14, Su Yuan, are you going to work properly or not? Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Half of the freshman trial duration was almost over. Previously, Suwon was happy if she could make it to the top 10. But now she felt that she could do better. We must get first place. Suwon resolved. I have to find more barbarian strongholds. They only got 24 hours for the trial. She must still have around 12 hours left. At present, she was in second place. Suwon didn't hurry. She wanted to plan very meticulously. Su Yuan felt very uncomfortable. He opened his eyes and saw that Suwon's face was very close to his nose. She crouched down to his level and smirked. Su Yuan, ever since we came to the Overlord Plane, we have stuck together. I have been protecting you at all times. Shouldn't you do something in return? She asked. Su Yuan was speechless. If it hadn't been for him, she wouldn't even be alive till now. He had used his abilities. One too many times to solve her problems. The thing he was worried most about revealed itself. I know you don't have much combat experience. That's all right. I will fight instead of you. But I need your help now, she said. You can fly. Could you fly around and look for more barbarian strongholds? He knew it. He had expected her to make him a scout if he revealed his wings. He wasn't able to hide from the Holy Spear Knight, so he had to use his wings that time. Suwon hadn't talked about his wings when she returned after feeling from the Holy Spear Knight. However, she really needed him to scout around now. Su Yuan looked at Suwon's expectant face. She was in luck. It just so happened that Su Yuan had slept for a long time and wanted to stretch his muscles. So, he agreed to Suwon's request. In any case, he had long wanted to take a stroll around the territory. He reluctantly agreed to be Suwon's scout to find a barbarian stronghold. If I can't find a barbarian stronghold, would Suwon blame me? He wondered. After seeing Su Yuan agree to her request, Suwon almost jumped up in joy. If he agreed to this, then he might agree to other things in the future. There is hope indeed to get rid of his laziness, thought Suwon. Su Yuan spread his dragon wings and flew out of the cave. Suwon looked at him flying out and smiled in satisfaction. She was unaware that he was going to put little to no effort in finding a stronghold for her. Su Yuan soared in the sky around the territory. As he flew freely, he released a wisp of his demonic dragon's aura. The wild beasts fled in all directions. The barbarians weren't any better. They trembled in fear and abandoned their stronghold. Su Yuan did not realize at that time. He flew freely and then returned to the cave. You didn't find the barbarian stronghold? Asked Suwon. Su Yuan, are you going to work properly or not? Suwon was enraged. He had agreed to be her scout, but he didn't bring back any information of the barbarian stronghold. If it was any other hero, she might have believed it. But she knew Su Yuan was a lazy creature. She knew he put little to no effort in finding the stronghold at all. Thinking of this, Suwon decided to personally go find the barbarian stronghold. She left the cave and looked around. Along the way, Suwon found many barbarian strongholds, but the strange thing was that there were no barbarians around. The strongholds seemed to be deserted. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. What's going on? Why are the heavens targeting me like this? Suwon's body went numb. She had been confident in acquiring the first place in the trial. But now, she wasn't so sure. There were no more barbarians for her to fight. Su Yuan, I apologize for getting angry at you. I am sorry, said Suwon. Su Yuan hadn't lied. Su Yuan just looked at her lazily and went back to sleep. She was very confused. She didn't understand why the strongholds were abandoned. Now, she had fallen from second place to fifth place. At this rate, it would be difficult for her to even remain in the top 10. Suwon was anxious, but her friend Shi Linglong asked her help. Yet again. In the group chat, she had sent a message. Shi Linglong, Wan, help? My territory was attacked by barbarians again? This time, my territory is really going to be destroyed. Suwon's first question was why Shi Linglong was getting attacked so frequently. Suwon didn't want to snatch her friend's barbarians for some lousy points. But her friend had asked for her help, so she wouldn't be stealing them anyway. Although Suwon couldn't wait to help Shi Linglong immediately to gain some points herself, she needed to ask the important questions first. So she sent her questions in the group chat. Suwon, Linglong, what's going on there? Why are you getting attacked by barbarians so frequently? She remembered that Shi Linglong had offended the barbarian leader before, so the barbarians had chased her. But why was she being chased this time? Shi Linglong, it's a long story. No time. Shi Linglong didn't say anything for a long time, and only at the end did she type out a long string of words. Suwon looked at Shi Linglong's explanation and understood the situation. Zhao Qingrong, who had been lurking in the group chat, couldn't help but complain after seeing Shi Linglong's explanation. Zhao Qingrong, Linglong, from a certain perspective, you really are talented. Shi Linglong's barbarian crisis was caused by the Wild Boar King. Suwon still remembered that when she had helped Shi Linglong a while back, there had been two powerful bosses nearby. One was the barbarian leader and the other was the Wild Boar King. At that time, Shi Linglong had guessed that the barbarian leader was injured because he fought the Wild Boar King, so he was easily killed by Suwon's skeleton soldiers. Shi Linglong, can you really blame me for that? I sent my troops to clear the area and they provoked the wild boar king. Suan felt sympathy for her friend. Shi Linglong was in that mess because of her own soldiers. Now she was a target. Despite her attempts to flee, she had attracted the barbarians from the surrounding strongholds. Countless barbarians joined in on the wild boar king's hunt. Other barbarians who had lost their leader and were no match for the wild boar king fled and gathered in Shi Linglong's territory. Soon, a tide of barbarians would overwhelm Shi Linglong's territory. Chapter 15, Sending the Wild Boar King Flying with His Tail. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Suan took Su Yuan and charged into Shi Linglong's territory at top speed. When Shi Linglong saw Suan, she happily rushed to her side. Just as Suan was going in for a hug, Shi Linglong snatched Su Yuan from her arms. Hee, Wan Wan, your hero is so cute. Suan realized that her friend knew nothing about how useless Su Yuan was. Su Yuan, on the other hand, yawned and stretched his back at being disturbed. When he stretched out his small claws, Shi Linglong found it even more cute. Wan Wan, let's exchange our heroes. You take mine. At that moment, Suan with the red hair and butterfly wings on her back, glared at her friend. Shi Linglong giggled as if she did not care about her feelings. Wan Wan, my hero is a S-class nature. Hero, the flower fairy. She lowered her voice as though this was a secret. Suan was mentally prepared for Shi Linglong's strange behavior. Suan ignored Shi Linglong's suggestion of exchanging heroes with her. Linglong, now is not the time. We need to find a solution for the problem right now. At that moment, Su Yuan broke free from Shi Linglong's hands and flew around as if looking for something. Suan and Shi Linglong didn't care. They only thought that he had slept too much and was full of energy, so he wanted to fly around. However, Shi Linglong still instructed the flower fairy. Please take care of that little guy. Don't let him be lost. After Shi Linglong gave her instructions, she didn't joke around and seriously discussed the situation with Suan. The territory itself could not be moved. How could they protect the territory from the attack of the barbarians? While Shi Linglong and Suan were having a discussion, Su Yuan seemed to have found what he was looking for. I found you. A smile appeared on his lips. He was looking for the Wild Boar King? He had obtained some benefits from killing the barbarian leader. The Wild Boar King was a boss and stronger than the barbarian leader. He wondered how much killing it would benefit him. Su Yuan spread his wings and flew after the Wild Boar King. The flower fairy was afraid that he would get lost in the place, so she spread her wings and followed behind. In the hero plane, the pool of light and pool of darkness were right next to each other. The light-type heroes had a detailed understanding of the dark-type heroes. However, all that was far away now. They only knew the heroes of light and darkness fought each other but didn't know why. The flower fairy didn't know Su Yuan's real identity. She only saw Su Yuan as a little thing that needed looking after. My name is Ifunai. What's yours? She asked. She wanted to start a conversation so that she could be friends with him. Their lords were good friends, after all. She and Su Yuan might need to cooperate in the future. Su Yuan thought for a moment. My name is Luphis. Luphis Olga was his real name. In the future he would use his real name, Luphis Olga, to let the world know about his legacy as the Dark Demon Dragon. The flower fairy nodded. Her butterfly wings flapped, and she followed Su Yuan closely. Soon, the flower fairy realized she was finding it difficult to keep up with him. Her S-class hero bloodline couldn't keep up with the dark hero in front of her. Su Yuan reached the Wild Boar King. Oh no, it's the Wild Boar King. The Wild Boar King was like a small mountain blocking their way. It seemed to have fallen asleep and did not see Su Yuan and the flower fairy. Luphis, run. She was so scared that she wanted to pull Su Yuan away from there. However, the flower fairy realized that the harmless-looking little creature seemed to weigh 1,000 pounds at that moment. No matter how hard she pulled him, he didn't budge. Wild Boar King level 20. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Strength 310, Spirit 122, Agility 150, Constitution 275. When Su Yuan saw the Wild Boar King's attributes, he had no reason to fear it. Although he was 10 levels lower than the Wild Boar King, his attributes were all above 400. It was more than enough to beat up the Wild Boar King. Luphis, don't just stand there. If you don't run now, you won't have the chance to escape. Although the Flower Fairy was an S-class hero, her level was still very low. In terms of attributes, it was impossible for her to be a match for the Wild Boar King. The Wild Boar King wasn't something a novice lord or a new hero could deal with. Before the Flower Fairy could convince him to leave, the Wild Boar King slowly opened his eyes. "We're finished." The Flower Fairy panicked. The Wild Boar King didn't have the time to react. Su Yuan flew over and whipped him with his tail. The Wild Boar King howled as he was sent flying. In the distance, countless barbarians were fleeing in the direction of Shi Linglong's territory because they were being chased by the Wild Boar King. At this moment, the barbarians all gathered. They were so densely packed that it made one tremble in fear. If this many barbarians passed by Shi Linglong's territory, her place would be reduced to ruins. But at this moment, a huge shadow appeared on the ground. The barbarians raised their heads. A monster, the size of a small mountain, descended from the sky. Boom! The earth trembled, and within Shi Linglong's territory, the two of them felt a tremor. Congratulations Lord Suan for successfully killing the boss, Wild Boar King, and obtaining a large number of points. Congratulations Lord Suan for killing a large number of barbarians and obtaining many points. Suan looked at her points. Her points had increased so rapidly that there was a huge gap between the first and the second place. She had left the second place miles behind. 100,000 points. This was a terrifying number of points that even the combined points of the 2nd to 10th place in the top 10 could not match up to. What happened? Suan was very confused. The Flower family was baffled as the Wild Boar King was sent flying away. She was so frightened that her face turned pale. She stared at Su Yuan. "Just say you didn't see anything," said Su Yuan and waved his little claws at her. The Flower Fairy felt a chill run down her back. She nodded vigorously as a promise that she wouldn't tell anyone about what happened here. The two heroes returned to the territory as if nothing had happened. When Suan and Shi Linglong asked them, they had their answers ready. They didn't know what had just happened. Not long after, everyone discovered that countless barbarians had died outside the territory. They had been crushed to death by the Wild Boar King. However, it seemed the Wild Boar King had died as well. "Linglong, I will head back now," said Suan. "I need to prepare for the blood trial." Suan picked up Su Yuan and left in a hurry. Congratulations Lord Suan for successfully killing the boss, Wild Boar King, and obtaining the blueprint of Spacegate construction. The prompt that appeared in let Suan know that the death of the Wild Boar King was counted as hers, but Suan didn't know how or why it had happened. She wanted to leave Shi Linglong's territory as soon as possible. She would ask too many questions and Suan had no answer. The death of the barbarian leader could be considered an accident, but the death of the Wild Boar King was hard to explain. Suan saw the problem but couldn't figure out an explanation. Chapter 16, The Number 1 Freshman Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. The freshman trial was over. Shi Linglong, "Hey, I got 7th place." Shi Linglong shared her joy with Suan. Suan wasn't surprised. Shi Linglong was a capable lord and her place had been attacked by barbarians twice. The two crises were averted, and in the process, Shi Linglong achieved a lot of points. In the group chat, Lin Yao and Zhao Qingrong also revealed their results one after the other. Lin Yao was in the 8th place and Zhao Qingrong had made it to the 10th. The three of them had made it to the top 10. Zhao Qingrong, what about you, Wan Wan? Suan had started the journey with lots of difficulty. She was happy to make it to the top 10. Her friends thought she might have made it to the 5th or the 6th place. Suan didn't intend to hide her rank. She wanted to share her achievements with her friends. However, when she looked at her own points, she felt scared. Although the freshman trial had ended, the results hadn't been announced publicly yet. They could see their own points and rank, but others couldn't. Since Suan didn't reply for a long while, everyone thought she might have done badly. They thought she might not have made it to the top 10. They tried to comfort her. Lin Yao, Wan Wan, don't be discouraged. Try to upgrade your hero and troop type in the later stages. You can still make up for it. Shi Linglong, that's right. It's just a trial for the new students. There's still the inter-campus tournament and the global competition. It's not the end of the world yet. Zhao Qingrong, Wan Wan, you can always improve. You are a good student. I know you will improve a lot and we will meet again in the inter-campus tournament. Seeing them trying to console her, Suwon felt warmth spread in her heart. Finally, Suwon revealed her result. Suwon, thank you for being so kind, everyone. I am very grateful for all of you. I made it to the top 10. I got first place. Her 3 friends were shocked. Right at that moment, the rankings were revealed in the academy. As expected, Suwon got first place. I knew she had potential, said one of the teachers, laughing. Yes. To be able to get the first place, that is normal for Suwon. She is very capable. In the office, the teachers were happily talking about the rankings. In the academy, the other students were also discussing it. As expected of Suwon, she is the best in everything. If I have a girlfriend like that, even for a day, I'd die happy. One day, I would be okay with her being my girlfriend for just 1 hour. I'm not asking for much. If you can be my girlfriend for just 1 minute, I can sacrifice 99 years of my life. The male students were in a heated discussion, and among the girls, there were many who were envious. Some felt powerless because of this and thought that Suwon was the peak that they could not surpass. But there were also those who secretly made sarcastic remarks and were dissatisfied with Suwon. Tisk, first place? Maybe she hooked up with a teacher to get that ranking. I heard that Suwon has an unclear relationship with a senior student. It's most likely that those senior students violated the rules and interfered with the new students' trial. In the forum, everyone could choose a fake name for themselves, so no one knew who was who. They talked freely. A student raised a crucial question. Everyone seems to think that it's normal for Suwon to get first place, but no one is paying attention to the points she got. The points Suwon obtained. First place, Suwon, 100,086 points. Second place, Wang Xian, 19,975 points. In an instant, the entire forum exploded. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. The first place had 100,000 points, but the second place only had around 20,000. The difference was too huge. The highest score until now had been around 30,000 points. Student Su Won broke the record with her own strength. People were doubtful and they were stunned. Fake? This is definitely cheating. Requesting the school teachers to conduct a strict investigation. The students didn't need to say it twice. At this moment, the teachers were already investigating the matter. The dean summoned the Sage Fairy, which was in charge of the system. Sage Fairy, please can you show us Suwon's progress in the trials? Soon, a list of information was displayed. All the teachers in the office were shocked. She killed both the barbarian leader and the wild boar king. How did she manage to kill so many barbarians in 24 hours? While the teachers discussed the matter, the dean was shocked as well. Suwon is indeed capable. It seems that in the inter-campus tournament, our Star Academy's rank will be dependent on her. The teachers were perplexed by the dean's words. Dean, are we going to let a new student participate in the inter-campus tournament? The inter-campus tournament was held amongst hundreds of academies in the area. The tournament was not meant for new students. Only senior students were allowed to participate because they had been allured for a longer time. The new students wouldn't be able to cause a single wave in the competition. The teachers had their doubts, but the dean had made up his mind. Make arrangements for the preliminary rounds for the inter-campus tournament. The students who qualify will represent the Star Academy in the tournament. Suwon knew her ranking even before it was announced. There were endless questions from her friends. Zhao Qingrong, Wan, be honest. Did you cheat? Suwon, I didn't. Shi Linglong, I can prove that Wan cheated. She cheated? She cheated. Shi Linglong told them about the time the barbarian leader had fallen. The others marveled at Suwon's luck. Shi Linglong, at that time, I didn't suspect anything because the two bosses had fought one another. So, I thought the barbarian leader was already injured and her skeleton soldier had finished him easily. But when it came to the wild boar king, it fell and crushed so many barbarians. Many were killed by that. We were nearby when it happened. They didn't dwell much on the matter since it was done already. Suwon was in the first place, so everyone was happy for her. Lin Yao, the freshman trials are over. How about we show our heroes? Zhao Qingrong, sure. Zhao Qingrong was excited to show her hero. She wanted the world to know that he was a super handsome elf. Zhao Qingrong was the first to post a picture of her hero in the group chat. Then she briefly introduced the hero's abilities. Then it was Shi Linglong's turn. The flower fairy was as big as Su Yuan, but she was still a S-class hero. Then it was Lin Yao's turn. Lin Yao's hero was an SS-class hero, Ice Phoenix. A picture of a snow-white bird appeared in the group chat. For a moment, Shi Linglong and Zhao Qingrong were envious. Lin Yao, who was usually quiet and gentle, had received an SS-class hero. In the end, only Suwan was left. Everyone was very curious. Suwan had gotten first position in the rankings, so everyone thought her hero was very formidable. Suwan's face was a bit stiff. She took a picture of her sleeping Su Yuan and sent it to the group chat. Suwan, race, unknown, attributes, unknown, hobby, sleeping. Chapter 17, Elite Soldier, Golden Behemoth Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Time flew by and it was already the day for the blood trial. Knowing that it was tomorrow made Suwan feel very anxious. She possessed strange skeleton soldiers. She had made it to the first place in the freshman trial. The gap between the first and the second place was huge. Suwan didn't feel even the slightest of the pride and satisfaction she was supposed to be feeling. Instead, she felt worried. Suwan was the only one who knew that the skeleton soldiers were powerful, but their ability was limited. They were unstable. She had studied them, but she was unable to figure out what caused their burst of power. The skeleton soldiers were too unstable. She needed more soldiers who were reliable. These days, Suwan used the skeleton soldiers for their characteristic trait. They could endure hardships and work a lot. She sent the skeleton soldiers to cut trees for wood and collect resources. In a short period of time, she had accumulated a lot of resources. Skeleton soldiers weren't that bad. Suwan realized that Su Yuan had made a good choice by choosing the skeleton soldiers, though it hadn't felt like that before. When it came to manpower, what would be better than the skeleton soldiers who didn't need food or rest and could work non-stop? Do you wish to spend resources to build the territory hall? The prompt panel appeared. Suwan did not hesitate this time. She chose yes. She now had a collection of resources available to build the territory hall. If she could build that, she could then proceed to create other units. While Suwan waited, a small building appeared in the dim cave. Congratulations Lord Suwan for successfully building the territory hall. You have obtained an opportunity to recruit random elite troops for free. Random elite troops. Suwan looked forward to it. Su Yuan was a useless hero. If she could recruit powerful elite troops, her situation would vastly improve. Do you want to use the random elite troop draw? Suwan was a little hesitant. Random draws depended on luck. There were items that could increase one's luck. If Suwan chose not to use the draw right now and kept it for the future, she could find some item to increase her luck first and then use the draw. Suwan let out a long sigh. If I can't pass the blood trial, there won't be a next time to use the draw anyway. Suwan decided to use the random elite troop draw. She was doubtful about her skeleton soldiers. They were unstable, so she wasn't sure if she could win the blood trial. But an elite troop would increase her chance of winning immensely. Draw, Suwan exclaimed and spun around. The wheel was filled with all kinds of units. In the end, the needle of the wheel stopped on the grid of the golden behemoth. Yay! Suwan was so happy that she jumped for joy. She picked up Su Yuan and kissed him on his head. Su Yuan opened his eyes and stared at Suwan. What's wrong with this woman? Has she finally gone mad? Suwan wanted to share her happiness with Su Yuan. Su Yuan, I got an elite soldier, the golden behemoth. Seeing that Su Yuan was indifferent, Suwan tried to make him feel something. That's an elite soldier. The legendary powerful soldier that once tore apart the Earth Dragon with their bare hands. I hope you can hang out with the golden behemoth in the future. Suwan stopped speaking. She wanted to tell Su Yuan how useless he was and not worthy of the attention of the golden behemoth. She wanted to anger Su Yuan so that he would be more motivated. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. However, she had special feelings for her initial hero. She couldn't bring herself to say those words aloud. However, Suwan thought that was enough. In the past, Su Yuan was superior because all Suwan had were the skeleton soldiers. But now that she was becoming an elite soldier, she hoped Su Yuan would feel the pressure to do better. Su Yuan yawned and continued to sleep. Suwan was speechless. You think I'm lying to you? Asked Suwan. In a dazzling light, a big man with building muscles appeared near Suwan. He had golden hair. His aura filled the entire cave. You are the Lord? I'm the Golden Behemoth, Ariga. Hello, I'm Suwon. It's a pleasure to meet you. Although there was only one elite soldier, he could communicate with her. One could see how trashy the skeleton soldiers were in front of this elite soldier. Suwon discovered that at this time only one golden behemoth appeared, but if she needed more, she could make them in the territory hall. When she received one military type, she could craft them in the territory hall for more. The golden behemoth, Ariga, stood there with his golden fur emitting a dazzling light. Su Yuan awoke. Suwon had been observing Su Yuan. She thought he would definitely react. Su Yuan reached his little claw to block his eyes. The dazzling light disturbed his sleep. He yawned. I want to sleep. Please turn off the light. Thank you, Wan Wan. He covered his eyes with his claws and went to sleep again. After making a wish, she covered her eyes with her claws and continued to sleep. Suwon was speechless. Just how much does he like to sleep? She wondered. Forget it. Now that I have the golden behemoth, my success rate at the blood trial would be high. When Suwon looked at the new hero, she found that he looked terrified. What's wrong? The golden behemoth's aura was extremely powerful, as if it could tear everything apart. But his face had turned pale. It looked frightened. The golden behemoth crouched on the ground in a corner like a rat who had seen a big cat coming its way. What happened? Suwon was confused. How had the arrogant and strong golden behemoth turned out this way? A prompt from the interface distracted Suwon. Territory Hall detected. Territory Soldier Class Transformation activated. Lord's Initial Hero's Darkness Attribute detected. Do you want to convert the local troops to Darkness Attribute? Once converted, cannot be reversed. All future units will have Darkness Attribute. Are you kidding me? Suwon exclaimed. As a Dark-type troop, skeleton soldiers were usually weak in combat. Although they were powerful occasionally, they were not stable in their performance. Moreover, Suwon wasn't sure if the golden behemoth she had obtained with great difficulty would disappear after being converted to Dark Attribute. Just as Suwon was about to make a choice, she thought of Su Yuan's claws reaching out every time she had tried. She looked at Su Yuan cautiously. Su Yuan wasn't there. She turned to look around. When she turned back to the prompt, Su Yuan had already extended his claws and clocked on the yes option. Su Yuan. Chapter 18, The Blood Trial Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. The next day, Suwon still sulked over Su Yuan's choice. Because he had changed everything to the Darkness Attribute, Suwon could only create skeleton soldiers and skeleton horses. The skeleton soldiers' performance was unstable, and Suwon was unsure whether the newly created skeleton soldiers had the same ability to mutate as the 100 skeleton soldiers before them. As usual, Su Yuan was completely useless. She couldn't even create more golden behemoth soldiers. She was happy the golden behemoth hadn't disappeared after being converted to dark type. But with the resources she had, it was impossible to create more golden behemoth soldiers. There's no more hope, lamented Suwon. Everything is ruined. I've completely ruined it. Suwon looked into the distance. Countless goblins were gathering. The first wave of attack in the blood trial was the goblin army. Suwon looked at the skeleton soldiers and pinned her hopes on their bouts of extraordinary performance. Suwon had thought of making a batch of golden behemoth army, but soon realized that it was impossible to do that even if she went bankrupt. A single golden behemoth might not be able to deal with a wave of goblins. In that case, usually a lord relied on her hero. Suwon looked at Su Yuan. He only cared about sleeping. He wouldn't even fight when there was a battle. Suwon stared at Su Yuan and the golden behemoth. They were surprisingly getting along. The golden behemoth had made a soft blanket with collected beast fur. He spread the blanket on the ground and invited Su Yuan to rest on it. Then the golden behemoth went to cut some wood. Suwon was so curious that she couldn't help asking, Ariga, what are you doing? The golden behemoth didn't even turn his head. He focused on his work but replied to Suwon without looking her way. I am building the throne Kazeya for Lord Luphus. Suwon was now more confused than ever. Lord Luphus, she said. That lazy thing. The golden behemoth realized that he had accidentally let slip Su Yuan's true name. He glanced fearfully at Su Yuan. The golden behemoth didn't speak again. He was scared that if he revealed more information about the dark demon dragon, he would be a target. Suwon suspiciously stared at the golden behemoth and Su Yuan. She recalled the strange things that had happened when Su Yuan was around and realized that this small, lizard-like creature wasn't as simple as she thought. Suwon didn't have time to think about that for now. The blood trial had started, and the goblins were rushing over to her. Outside the cave, many goblins shouted, "This is bad." Suwon commanded the skeleton soldiers and skeleton horses to meet the enemy head-on. The goblins were not ordinary. Suwon looked at the goblin whose body was ablaze in flames, another whose breath was filled with frost, and yet another one whose body flickered with electricity. Elemental Goblin Army. Damn it! Is this really the blood trial? Suwon felt despair. The skeleton soldiers and skeleton horses charged, but they were defeated by the Elemental Goblin Army? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. The blazing goblin shot out fireballs. There was a rumble. Flames burned the surrounding area. The lightning goblin used lightning spears and shot them at the enemy. The lightning spears pierced through the skeleton soldiers. How are we going to deal with the enemy? The blood trial is too difficult. Suwon felt that everything was over. Her career as the Overlord ended here. At this moment, the group chat was filled with the concerns from her friends. They all had been informed by Shi Linglong that the blood trial was going to take place today, so they were all paying attention to it. Shi Linglong, who was the closest to Suwon's territory, had asked Suwon if she needed her help. Suwon hid the matter and could not ask her friends for help, so she told them that everything was going smoothly. After lying to her friends, she looked at the sky in despair. If she told them the truth, Shi Linglong would definitely come to help her. Seeing the Elemental Goblin Army, Suwon felt that she would be only inviting her friend to her death if she asked for help. Her Overlord career was about to end, but Suwon didn't want to trouble her friend and involve her in this mess. She did not want to waste Shi Linglan's resurrection chances. Su Yuan, do something. If I die here, will we still be partners in this realm? However, Su Yuan stretched on the blanket and yawned. He went back to sleep. Suwon felt anger boil her blood. You bastard! How can you sleep at a time like this? Suwon gritted her teeth. I don't want to be the Lord anymore. Suwon raged. However, Suwon wasn't someone who gave up easily. Forget it. I will fight till the end no matter what. Suwon was so angry that she decided to vent all her frustration and anger at the goblins who invaded her territory. Even if she got annihilated today, she would take care of the pesky goblins. When Suwon turned around to deal with the goblins, Su Yuan opened an eye to look. Lord Lupus, are you going to let the Lord fall? Asked the golden behemoth. Su Yuan didn't answer. Instead, he waved his tail gently, and the blue flames flickered. Dark fusion. Blue flames appeared on the bodies of countless skeleton soldiers and skeleton horses. Wait, what's going on? Suwon was confused. Are the skeleton soldiers mutating again? Under Suwon's expectant gaze, the skeleton soldiers and skeleton horses fused together. The skeleton soldiers rode on the skeleton with a powerful aura. Demonic Dragon's Blessing. Su Yuan secretly blessed the skeleton soldiers. In an instant, the skeleton soldiers fused into skeleton knights, their body ablaze with blue flames. The powerful skeleton knights charged towards the Elemental Goblin Army. The skeleton knights easily dodged the elemental goblins' ice blades, fireballs, and electric arcs. It then appeared at the goblin's side and used its bone as a blade to kill the goblins. Under the charge of the enhanced Death Knights, the Elemental Goblin Army reduced in numbers as they fell. Chapter 19, The End of the Blood Trial. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Congratulations Lord Suwon for surviving the first wave of the blood trial and obtaining the reward. Army type, Dark Goblin. I made it. Suwon was stunned. She was still stuck in the despairing mental state. Because she was sure she would fall. The skeleton soldiers and horses had been like paper in front of the goblins. They were cut down so easily. However, the skeleton soldiers had fused into a powerful army of skeleton knights and fought through. Furthermore, the skeleton knights emitted a black mist similar to the one that appeared when the skeleton soldiers had mutated before. The black mist turned into black flames, making the skeleton knights even more powerful. The skeleton knights crushed the elemental goblin army. Suwon gulped. If the skeleton knights could maintain this state, she could easily surpass the blood trial. The second wave was coming. With the prompt that informed her of the same, she saw dust billowing in the distance. War Stomp. Swan could not see clearly in the dust, but she knew what they were. The Tauren army? Swan was certain that it was the Tauren army's War Stomp. The ground shook, and the cave trembled as though it was going to collapse any time. Seeing the enemy approach, Swan realized that the blood trial wasn't so simple. The charging Minotaurs glowed with a red light. Berserk Tauren. Damn it. Swan cursed. This blood trial level was too high for her. Swan didn't know whether to laugh or cry at that moment. The ordinary Tauren army could crush all the new lords with their War Stomp. Even the seniors would find it difficult to withstand the army. She was a novice. Why is my luck so rotten? These weren't even ordinary Tauren. They were Berserk Tauren. They were extremely violent and had high attributes. However, the Skeleton Knights were not afraid. They bravely charged forward to meet the enemy. Swan felt like doing something for the Skeleton Knights. Otherwise, they would die senselessly at the hands of the Tauren army. Steel Shelter. Swan remembered the Overlord talent she had obtained. She used it to increase their resistance. The Skeleton Knights were having a difficult time fighting the Taurens. But when Swan gave them resistance, they became sturdy and strong. They charged at the Taurens as one and sent them flying. Teams of Skeleton Knights charged into the Berserk Tauren army. In the blink of an eye, the Tauren army's formation was broken, and they were scattered. Congratulations Lord Swan for surviving the second wave of the blood trial. All resources of the territory have been increased by plus 100 units. Swan was overjoyed. Now, she continued to develop her resources, whether it was building units, or upgrading them, creating the newly unlocked Dark Goblin troop type, or spending all her fortune to create a Golden Behemoth soldier. She had not expected that surviving the second wave would increase the resources by 100 tons. After the BL trial, I can create Dark Goblins. Goblins were similar to humans. They could do more flexible things than the rigid skeleton soldiers. Before Swan could even catch a breath, a prompt appeared again. The final wave of the blood trial is coming. The final wave? This is the last round of the trial. Swan was nervous this time. But her Skeleton Knights were strong, so she thought they could still hang on. There was still hope. Very quickly, the figures of the invading monsters appeared in the distance. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks a Hellhound. Swan cried out in surprise. Those red hounds covered in flames were a powerful troop type. Hellhound troop types were medium grade among dark types. Skeleton soldiers were only the best among the low level. There's still a chance. Swan encouraged herself and her skeleton soldiers. The skeleton soldiers and skeleton horses' fusion time was up, and they separated from each other. If the ordinary skeletons fought with the hellhounds, it would be suicide. In the blink of an eye, bones scattered everywhere. These were all left behind by the skeleton soldiers and skeleton horses that had died in battle. Do the heavens want me dead? Swan thought she had a hope of surviving this trial. However, she wasn't so sure now. This is the end. Golden Behemoth received a command from Su Yuan to attack. Wait, Auriga? You can't do this alone. Swan wanted to stop the Golden Behemoth, but he had already made his move. The Golden Behemoth roared, and black smoke curled around it. It appeared again. When the skeleton soldiers had mutated, the same black mist had appeared. Now, the Golden Behemoth was shrouded in it. The Golden Behemoth is mutating. Swan muttered in a low voice. At this moment, the Golden Behemoth grew bigger and bigger, almost to the size of the Wild Boar King. Countless hellhounds roared. The Golden Behemoth charged toward the hellhound army, and everything turned to chaos. The powerful hellhound troop was like an ant facing an elephant in front of the super-large Golden Behemoth. Congratulations Lord Swan for surviving the third wave of the blood trial and obtaining a permanent integration of the troops. Low-level skeleton soldiers and low-level skeleton horses detected. The skeleton soldiers and skeleton horses will automatically be fused and upgraded. Congratulations Lord Swan for obtaining the middle rank army type, Skeleton Knight. It can be created by collecting resources. It's finally over. Swan was exhausted. She leaned against a tree and looked at the battlefield. Although she did not fight much, she was mentally exhausted. Congratulations Lord Swan for completing the blood trial. Do you want to announce your name? No. Swan was vigilant this time. Afraid that Su Yuan's claws would reach out once again and choose yes. She hastily pressed no. Announcement: congratulations to Lord XXX for completing the blood trial. Seeing that the notice didn't announce her name, Suwon was relieved. This was the first time Su Yuan hadn't cheated her out of her choices. After resting for a while, Suwon returned to the territory. Golden Behemoth troops, Dark Goblin troops, Skeleton Knights troops. When Suwon got back to the territory, she examined the soldiers. She saw that Su Yuan was no longer lazing around. He gestured to the Golden Behemoth. After a while, Su Yuan and the Golden Behemoth quietly left the territory. Lord Lupus, the aura can't be wrong. The death of a large number of hellhounds had attracted Cerberus. The Golden Behemoth felt a powerful aura radiating from nearby and reported to Su Yuan. Su Yuan nodded and looked ahead. A creature, the size of a small hill, slowly approached. Its body was covered in flames. The three hideous heads looked around as if looking for something. Chapter 20 Demonic Dragon's Blessing Level 2, Black Gold Behemoth Cerberus. The Golden Behemoth's tone turned serious when it saw the creatures in front of it. Because of the large number of hellhounds that appeared in the last wave of the blood trial, Cerberus was attracted by the death of the hellhounds and their blood. Unlike the Golden Behemoth, Su Yuan was very interested in Cerberus. He was thinking about what kind of reward he would get if he killed it. Just as he was about to make a move, a message flashed. Congratulations Overlord Suwon for completing the blood trial. All the rewards obtained will increase by X3. Su Yuan was Suwon's initial hero, so he could see the message. His experience also tripled. Lord Lupus, what are you doing? Asked the Golden Behemoth. Under the Golden Behemoth's surprised gaze, a black flame appeared on Su Yuan's head and a pair of dragon horns grew. At the same time, a crack appeared on Su Yuan's chest. It slowly widened into a purple-black eyeball. The Golden Behemoth knelt in ear. Lord Lupus, you are getting stronger. Su Yuan didn't say anything. He felt powerful. Name, Su Yuan Demonic Dragon's true name, Lupus Olga Race, Dark Demon Dragon Level, 20 Strength, 960 Spirit, 958 Agility, 957 Constitution, 960 Abilities. Night Shift LVL1. Dragon God Slumber LVL1. Lord of Darkness Demonic Dragon's Blessing. True Eye of the Magic Dragon. The true eye of the magic dragon can see through all illusions. It can trace back time and see what happened 24 hours ago. Dark Dual Domain. Drag the enemy into the dual domain and engage in a fair one-on-one duel. There is no interference from the outside world during this period. The winner will devour the soul of the loser and absorb the power. Su Yuan was in a very good mood looking at the new abilities he had obtained. He wagged his tail. The true eye of the demon dragon ability was from the demon eye on his chest. The demon dragon's true eye, which was derived from this demon eye, could see through all illusions and see the essence of things. Moreover, this ability had another very powerful use. It could peer into the river of time and see everything that had happened 24 hours ago. Is it the Dark Dual Domain ability that is making me want to fight? The Dark Dual Domain ability was derived from the dragon's horns. A ball of darkness is shot out from the horns. Any living being hit by the ball of darkness would be dragged to the Dark Dual Domain, a space which was isolated from the world. The domain would only be dispelled when one of the parties in the domain died. I just don't know if the winner can absorb all of the loser's power or only a portion of it, thought Su Yuan. If he defeated a creature with a 100 strength in the Dark Dual Domain, would he absorb 100 points for his strength or only some portion? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Su Yuan was immersed in his new ability. The Golden Behemoth's voice trembled. Lord Lupus, it might not turn out well if we don't fight. Su Yuan raised her head in dissatisfaction. 3 ferocious heads looked down from above. He had been discovered. The Golden Behemoth stared at Su Yuan expectantly. If they didn't fight now, they might die here. Ariga, go, kill it, Su Yuan ordered. The Golden Behemoth was perplexed. How could he fight against Cerberus? However, he did not dare disobey Su Yuan. Roar. The Golden Behemoth roared and dazzling golden light erupted. The Golden Behemoth charged at Cerberus, but before it could even touch it, it was swatted away by Cerberus's paw like a mosquito. Lord Lupus. The Golden Behemoth sprawled on the ground. He tried his best to stand up. He looked pitiful. The difference between their strength was too great. Su Yuan stood there calmly, his tail wagged, and the blue flame danced in the air. Su Yuan had been so lazy every day. Now that there was a problem, Su Yuan's first thought was to let it be. He didn't want to use his hands to fight. But with such a huge gap in strength, Demon Dragon's blessing in level 1 was not enough to strengthen the Golden Behemoth. Therefore, now that he had leveled up to level 20 and obtained skill enhancement points, he chose to enhance the Demon Dragon's blessing ability. Demon Dragon's blessing has been upgraded to LVL2 in an instant. The blue flame on Su Yuan's tail turned black. A black flame flew towards the Golden Behemoth. The Golden Behemoth instantly burst into flames. The Golden Behemoth felt endless power and strength flow through his body. He could even tear space apart with a single swipe if he wanted to. Gradually, the Golden Behemoth's golden fur changed color and was dyed black in the pitch-black flames. The dazzling golden light radiating from his body turned black gold in color. Black Gold Behemoth roared. He flew at an impossible speed. Rip! Cerberus's defense was broken, and one of its arms was scratched by the Black Gold Behemoth. The three-headed hellhound roared in fury. Although the Golden Behemoth was relatively large, with the mutation it had turned into a giant. However, the Black Gold Behemoth was like an ant in front of a mountain like Cerberus. The three-headed hellhound attacked. Hellfire shot out from one of its three heads. Hellfire. Black Gold Behemoth was stunned. If he got hit by the hellfire, his soul would suffer. It would be torture. It was better to be dead. There was a whooshing sound. The dragon wings flapped, and the hellfire was instantly blown away towards Cerberus. Suya had been observing the fight even with LVL2 Demon Dragon's blessing. Black Gold Behemoth was no match for Cerberus. He decided to fight it himself. Su Yuan used his Demon Dragon's wings. He seemed to veer through time and appear near Cerberus. He used Demonic Dragon's breath. The hellfire that Cerberus spat was dark green, while Su Yuan's Demonic Dragon's breath was pitch black. The green flames clashed with the black flames. The two terrifying powers clashed together, and the resulting shockwave spread throughout the area.